Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to Spotlight. I'm Edjuenka, and we have a very interesting program for you tonight. I have with me Mr. Meade Malone, financial specialist, lay preacher, and best-selling author of The Plan, Unlocking God's Financial Blessings for Your Life, and co-author of his newly released bestseller book, It's Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above the Impossible, co-authored with entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and best-selling author herself, Miss Lisa Nichols. So we're going to have a discussion about that book. Also, we're going to talk about the upcoming seminar entitled Power Your Breakthrough and Thrive in 2012. And of course, we're going to have a great discussion. We're hoping to get a call from one of the presenters at the seminar as well, Ms. Allison Bird. She's a transformational coach and business consultant. So if that happens, you'll hear the voice of Allison Bird as well. But we are going to be talking about the book, how it helps you to overcome, rising above all impossibilities, how it motivates your spirit. Also, what the seminar is going to bring to you, how the seminar is going to help you to turn your ideas into a business opportunity, how to prosper and grow despite all of the ominous predictions that we hear on international radio about the global economy. So this is an important seminar that's coming up on March 24th in St. Thomas. We're going to have a fantastic discussion. We're going to talk about the book when we come back after these words from our sponsors with our good brother, Meade Malone. Keep it locked right here to Spotlight.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Roadtown, Tortola, BVI.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I want to welcome my good brother, Meade Malone. Brother, it's good to see you.
Great to be here, man.
Yes, man.
Great to be here.
Yes, and as Sammy would say, you're doing big things.
I'm trying. By the grace of God, I'm trying.
You're doing big things. New book. Yes. Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above the Impossible.
Yes.
Rising Above the Impossible.
Yes.
And you had a collaboration with very famous motivational speaker,
yes,
internationally known Lisa Nichols. How did that come about?
Well, it started at a conference in Bahamas that Russell and Portia Harrigan put on, and I was one of the guest speakers at the conference, and I met Lisa there, and the rest is history. We just kind of hit it off from the time we met, and she asked me to be a co-author on this particular project, one of the co-authors, and also to join her global leadership program. So I'm also a student of Lisa Nichols.
Okay, and when you say join her global leadership program, what that means? What is that, and what that means?
Well, she has gathered 40 individuals from throughout the United States. Who she says are on the move, doing things. And she's put us in a one-year program and really teaching us all that she knows in terms of the industry and writing books, making presentations. She's teaching us what she knows.
Okay. And what you're hoping to do with that knowledge and those skills?
Well, hopefully I want to use it to further, my effort to write additional books as I'm inspired to, and to really share the information that comes out of these books and other information as we're doing with the workshop in St. Thomas.
Okay. Now, you have the book. It's got a lot of stories,
Yes.
different stories. What was the purpose, the motivation for the book, and what you're hoping to use the book to accomplish?
Well, the book focuses on people who have risen above adversity or circumstances in their lives and triumph. And the book talks to the fact that each of us have within us an unbreakable spirit, a spirit that allows us to triumph over adversity. And so that's the purpose of the book, to really reflect that in common, everyday people who triumph over their circumstances and move on in the world.
And so whoever reads the book then should have a sense that they can overcome all obstacles.
Absolutely. And I think, oftentimes when things happen to us in our lives, we think that, it's an isolated situation. It's only happened to me. But what the book does is that it shows you different stories from different people across the United States and across the world of their stories. And I'm sure that for most people, they'll find one that they identify with. And then look at how that person was able to overcome that story, to triumph over the circumstance.
Okay. Now, I went on Amazon.com, look for the book, see where it was, and do some research. And it's a 5-star book.
Yes.
It's got a review.
Yes.
And I was pleasantly surprised. Well, not that much surprised, but happy that the book started off immediately with a tremendous success.
Yes.
that it has. And I think it's important that I read a couple of the reviews and the persons who have read the book and made comments on Amazon, because I think the people in the Virgin Islands need to understand the caliber and the quality of work that it is. And I have one what appears to be a lady, Deanna. She says, this is an awesome book to begin your own personal awakening and healing. This book is a must-read for anyone who wants to overcome. So obviously it was helpful to her.
Yes.
Another person, Renee Carbon, she says, so many times I've been disappointed with collaborative books, but this one truly was difficult to put down. The stories are brief yet intense, courageous, and boldly revealing. I learned a lot about faith, perseverance, and the power of never giving up. The unbreakable spirit, rising above the impossible, is a complete inspiration. That is so glowing reviews. Unbreakable Spirit is more than just another inspirational book. It is a guide for fulfilling dreams, hopes, and aspirations. When you think your life is too tough or you feel defeated, read this guide to accomplishing the impossible. These women share their stories of triumph and truth. It is a cup of coffee you need in the morning. Looking at the adversities of others and the ability to conquer life allows us to see we are all capable of shaping our own destinies. Bravo, bravo. There are many times in life when we feel like we want to give up. Times are too hard, things are never picking up, finances are holding you down, no one seems to be on your side, your spouse speaks ill of you, your boss shows you no respect, your teachers told you that you're never going to make it, or you have been told that you have a life-threatening disease. When you are feeling like the only thing left to do is give up, take a minute and open this book.
One of the interesting thing is how the book is impacting people in their everyday lives. I recently received an email from a lady in the States, and she was running a bakery store. And she was going through severe financial difficulties. And she said that when she read my story in the book, it gave her hope and encouragement because, times are tough everywhere. And, it's always good when you can look at a story and read a story and relate to it in terms of your everyday life and then see how someone has overcome that particular circumstance. And that's what this book tries to do.
Now, this person referred to the book as a guide.
Yes.
How is it a guide? In what sense is it a guide?
Well, I think it's a guide. It's not a step-by-step guide, but I think it's a guide in the sense that it shows you in some of the stories, step by step, what people did in overcoming their particular circumstances. So you can apply it to your life, because oftentimes when you're going through a situation, it's a journey. Sometimes the journey is longer than others, but you can sort of see where you are in the journey and know that if you are in the middle of that journey, you can look to the end and saw somebody overcome it and get hope and inspiration that you too can overcome whatever you're going through.
One of the things that I have noticed with people I've come in contact with, even though they have a sense of hope, it seems as though there's something missing, something in the environment that they have not been able to get a hold of.
Yes.
To bring that spirit out. How do you speak to that?
Well, sometimes when you get inspired about something, I think sometimes your natural abilities just kick in. I'll give you an example. When I graduated from high school, my first time, I was 13 at the time, and I got a grade 3 certificate. And I could never forget that day. I could almost see it in my mind's eye right now. On the board in high school where they would normally post the grades, I went there, and then I walked across the street, because there's the road there. And I could always remember teacher Dorothy Turnbull coming over to me, and she just said to me, she said, Meade, I know you're disappointed in the grade 3 certificate that you have, but I know that you can do better. You can do better. And just that word of inspiration and encouragement pushed me on, and I went back and graduated with a grade 1 certificate. So sometimes when you get a word of encouragement, that word of encouragement can propel you to where you need to get to.
We have to take a break. I want to talk, when we come back, a little bit about the origin of thoughts, the importance of thoughts, and how we can learn to think thoughts that would be helpful and advance the kingdom within us.
Absolutely.
And the kingdom, of course, without. So we're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. We're going to come right back with more Unbreakable Spirit.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed.
Spotlight is brought to you by CCT Global Communication, Data Pro, Orion Law, Clarence Thomas Limited, Virgin Island Motors, and Bolo's Wholesale Cash and Carry.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm very happy to have with me my good brother Meade Malone. We're having an interesting discussion about his the new book that he just co-authored with Lisa Nichols. It's called The Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above the Impossible. A very interesting book. It's got some stories about persons who had some challenges that they've overcome. At times they thought they would never be able to overcome these challenges, and they actually rose above the impossible. Something for you to read. It's been glowing reviews internationally. It's well received, and certainly is something to give you hope and inspiration to overcome all your challenges, your obstacles, and move forward in this 21st century with all the challenges that's developing around the world. I want to say at this time as well that you can call your friends and tell them, the ones that don't have cable television, that they can tune into or log on to jtvlive.net. jtvlive.net. We're streaming live all over the world, so your friends can to hear about the book and participate in the discussion. In the book, it talks about thoughts and how important your thoughts are. Talk to us about how important your thoughts are.
Well, in the book, The Plan, I go a little bit more in depth with this whole subject. And one of the important things is that everything you do in life starts with a thought. From the time I got up this morning, all of the actions and steps that I took began with a thought. So your thoughts are important. And one of the things that I teach in the book, The Plan, is that your thoughts is the thing through which God blesses you. He plants a seed of thought in your life. And it is that thought that then propels the actions that leads to your blessing. So thoughts are incredibly important.
Okay. Now, of course, you know that sometimes I have some thoughts. I wonder where they come from.
Absolutely, we all do.
Because
we all do.
I'm always checking myself to see what I'm thinking.
Yes.
And I say to myself, my God, how you think of such a thing?
Absolutely.
The most outlandish.
Yes.
And sometimes I say to myself, where I get all these vain imaginings?
Yep. Absolutely.
How do we get those thoughts that doesn't advance us and doesn't make us successful? How we come to those thoughts?
Well, I think that there is a good thoughts and there are bad thoughts, and the good thoughts are the ones through which you advance your blessing, and for those of us who are Christians. And I teach in the book The Plan is that we should process the thoughts through the teachings that come out of the Bible. And other people have other teachings, but you need to process your thoughts through some learning that you have. And the learning could be learning that you get in a book, learning that you get from your parents, because your parents, the teachings and the things that you get from your parents are all parts of the things that we use to process our thoughts through, right and wrong. And when the thoughts come into our minds, we need to process them to see if we must harness them, keep them, and put them into action, or we need to discard those thoughts by replacing them with good thoughts. And it's very important that we do that on a daily basis.
So we get the thoughts come from the environment, things that we hear, things that people say to us, things that we see.
Absolutely.
And we get these thoughts. And especially if we're watching a lot, or listening to a lot of negative information, we would then get these negative thoughts.
Absolutely.
So how important it is to monitor what we take in?
I think it is critically important for all of us to monitor the kinds of thoughts we take in and the kind of thought that we let process. The good book said that every vain imagination that rises itself above the knowledge of God, we are to cast down. We are to get rid of them, not process them. And so, controlling our thoughts, the battle for our success or failure is in our minds. And we need to guard the things that we think about, and we need to be careful about the things that we allow to process and sit in our thoughts. Very important.
Okay. And where we get the ability to change the thoughts that we want to change, and where do we get the new thoughts from?
Well, I think it's important that you feed yourself with positive thoughts, positive information, positive environment, positive books. Clearly, I use the Bible and its teachings and things like Unbreakable Spirit, books like The Plan. It does not only reading, the kinds of programs you listen to, the kind of people that you surround yourself with, the music that you listen to. All of those things have an important impact on your thought life, and it has an important impact on the processing mechanism that you have within yourself in terms of what thoughts you retain and what thoughts you let go.
So if you continue to just fill your mind with, I don't want to say filled, but it's like the computer, garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely.
And we, as human beings, if we want to be successful, if we want to have a good quality of life, if we want to be able to deal with our fellow persons in a decent way, we need to have the benefit of good thoughts coming out of good information.
Absolutely. I mean, and indeed, our system is set up that way. It should start in our home, in terms of our parents correcting us on what's right or what's wrong, because every action a child eventually carries out comes from a thought. And so they will know from the correction and the training at home which thought they are to keep and which thought they are to discard with. And then it goes into an educational system, and then it goes into the various activities that you allow your children to be a part of, whether it be church programs, boys brigades, Boy Scouts. All of those programs help in terms of training a person in terms of their thought life.
Now, I during my travels on a daily basis, I come in contact with persons who are down in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They are either begging,
mm-hmm.
they are unkempt, they seem to be just lost.
Mm-hmm.
They no matter how they try, they
mm-hmm.
go to rehab,
mm-hmm.
they go for counseling.
Yes.
No matter how they try, they don't seem to be able to lift themselves, lift their spirit,
yes.
get into a positive mode.
Yes.
How, are those persons lost? I mean, what should we think of those persons?
Mm-hmm.
How can those persons be helped? Not only by talking to them, but say through a book
mm-hmm.
like the plan, or a book like The Unbreakable Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Can they be
mm-hmm.
helped?
Well, I think everybody can be helped. No one is lost. No one is outside the reach of the power of God. If I'm to go there. Mm-hmm. The Bible says that we can do nothing without Him. And the reason we can do nothing without Him, because we exist physically and we exist spiritually. Mm-hmm. We need the power and the grace and the mercies of God. I am here standing today but for the grace of God. I don't consider myself better than anybody else but for the grace of God. And I think that anybody can be helped from the vantage point that I sit by the power of God. Funny goes around telling his story about where he came from. Mm-hmm. He goes throughout the Caribbean telling his story. He's come from the pit, from the barrels, and he's put himself back up, but for the grace of God. And I think that there are many stories out there of people who have a turnaround in their lives, and I could only commend that because I know what the power of it has been in my own personal life, and so I believe that everybody is reachable.
And that's what the Unbreakable Spirit is all about.
Absolutely. You find stories. Alison Bird has a story in that Unbreakable Spirit, and you see the story, the way she came from a broken home and from abuse to today, one of the leading transformational coaches, business corporate coaches in America. And so her story is an inspiration for somebody who is abused and who was raped and who came back out of that circumstances and is triumphant today.
Can it be said then that you might not know what God's plan is?
Yes.
And you might think that the experiences that you're having
yes.
Is a bad experience,
yes.
when in fact it might be a good experience.
Well, one of the things that I've learned, even with my story that's in the book, when I was going through it, it didn't feel like a good experience.
Right.
It filled me with stress and worry at the time. But out of that experience, I was able to write a chapter for Lisa Nichols mm-hmm. in her book, Unbreakable Spirit. Mm-hmm. So God took that situation that was bad at the time and turned it into a good. And I told you what that has meant for the lady, the store owner in the United States who was going through her financial difficulty. She can read that story and get inspiration to move on in the midst of her circumstance.
Yeah. I was reading another book, and that's what brought that to my mind.
Yes.
Sometimes we need to look at some of our experiences not from the perspective that there's something holding us down or there's yes. something defeating us, but a test. And this book was saying these things are a test, sometimes by God,
yes,
to build your spirit, to make you stronger, so that when you overcome, the sense of confidence that you get from overcoming propels you forward into his plan.
Absolutely. You know, I was listening to T.D. Jakes on Sunday because I stayed at home, and he was telling the story of Joseph's life. I mean, what a story.
Yes.
I mean, if we saw Joseph at the point that he was in the pit, we would say that man was a failure. He was cast out by his brother. He was a reject of his family. If you stop the story there, you would say Joseph was a failure. But if you carry that story true, all of those experiences prepared Joseph to become the second of command in Egypt. And the coat of many colors really represents, you know, the interwoven, the different fabrics of our life, good, bad, indifferent. God weaves them together. And though oftentimes we look at the back of the coat, as T.D. Jakes says, and we see all of the threads pulling out, if we go around and look at the front of the coat, we see what a beautiful weaving and tapestry it is.
Okay. Now you talk about God and the plan. You talk about God's plan for everyone's life as a plan from the beginning of time.
Absolutely.
Like you're born with a purpose.
Absolutely.
Now, you look at some of us, and we are going through considerable hardships.
Yes.
And you say, or we will say to ourselves, what kind of plan is this? I mean, how do we, what perspective, attitude do we have, should we have towards the difficulty that we are having, especially in relationship to the thought that there is a plan for our life?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to do is to see life as a journey. And on that journey, there's going to be ups and downs. I don't care who you are in your life, what you seem to have or not have, there will be ups and downs on that journey. And I think the key to understand is that you've got to connect to the source. You know, I say in the book that God is the great architect, and you don't build your house without referring to the architectural plans.
Right.
You follow that architectural plans and what was laid out for you, and that's the process that you should follow, and then you build the beautiful house. And God is the architect of that plan. If I said that God has a plan for you before the foundation of the world, He is the architect. And so somehow we have to find a way to connect to Him so that He can give us the roadmap, if you will, to that plan, so that we can follow it with confidence, so that we know that even though things look rough now, that if I understand and I believe that God's plan is working in my life, I know that weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. I know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
So that gives me the feeling that no matter what adversity might come my way, I should look at it as a good thing.
Yes.
Because then it means that I'm being prepared for my real destiny down in the future.
Yes.
And that brings me to one of the characteristics that's going to come up in the seminar, in the workshop, which is patience.
Patience.
How important is patience?
Patience is critically important. You know, we talk about the 6 characteristics, and I need to talk about patience within the context of them, because the first characteristics that we have is vision. And you talk about there being a plan for your life. Every one of us is born with an inborn, instilled passion to do something. I don't care what it is. Cromwell, I believe that if people didn't pay you, you would still want to do this show because you have a passion for it. This is
that in fact has been the case on many occasions.
Okay, you see, this is your passion, and out of our passion, comes our vision. It's a mental picture of the future. I'm sure as you sit here, you have a vision for where you want to be, a vision for how you see your life in the future. And you're not there yet, but you're moving towards it. And I think that's very important. And we go on to the next pillar that says integrity. You must ground your vision in integrity. And that's very important, because as a talk show host, you should have a level of integrity about what you do. You should have an impartiality, that when people hear you, they respect you. They respect your viewpoint because it's grounded in research, and you should, and that integrity it sustains you in the longer term. And then this is where patience comes in, because your vision for your future doesn't necessarily happen overnight. It takes some time. All of us, it takes time. And you know, the vision is yet for an appointed time, and though it tarry, wait, because the time is going to come. It shall speak and not lie. And so patience is very important, but patience is also very valuable, because patience, when you're waiting for your vision to accomplish, is when you are taking the time to do the things that are necessary, so that when your success comes, you're able to harness it properly and not waste it and squander it. And so during
the waiting, you're building your character.
Absolutely, you're building your character. You are being persistent. You're doing the things. You're putting in place those things that are necessary, that will take you through and be able to harness your success.
We're gonna take another break, and we're gonna continue with the discussion when we come back. I'm here, of course, with Brother Meade Malone, and call your friends and let them know, those that don't have cable, they could see us live on jtvlive.net. And soon we're going to open the phone so you can participate in the discussions. Keep it locked right here to Spotlight and the Unbreakable Spirit and the Plan with Brother Meade Malone. We're going to be right back after these words from our sponsors.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Roadtown, Tortola, BVI.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm Ed Juenka. I'm here with my good brother Meade Malone, and we are talking about the book that he co-authored with Lisa Nichols and others, Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above the Impossible, along with his book, The Plan. And we have on the line one of the facilitators of the upcoming workshop that's going to be held in St. Thomas on the 24th of March, which is Saturday. And her name, of course, is Miss Allison Byrd. She's a transformational coach, business person.
Also a co-author.
Also a co-author of The Unbreakable Spirit. And it's what they said, it's you, Lisa, you and 38 other ambassadors.
And she is one of them.
And Allison. Allison, welcome to Spotlight. It's good to have you.
Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be on with you. Thank you so much.
Yes, and of course, we're talking about the upcoming workshop that's going to be held in St. Thomas. Perhaps you could give us a little bit of your involvement in that process of breaking through, giving persons the ability to break through, bring their ideas into reality in this year, 2012.
Absolutely. I'm so excited about our opportunity to come to the island. First of all, I love the island. They're beautiful. I come there, and I told Meade it wasn't fair that he was asking me to come into work, but I committed to do it anyway. But I absolutely love the message that we are bringing together. You know, in business, you have to live according to principles and precepts. So when you live according to principles is the system by which you run your business. So it's understanding the fundamental pillars of success that you create through marketing, through leadership, through financial infrastructure. It's getting all of the grit of the business together that sometimes we just don't love. And when we do things that we don't love, we find that we survive versus thriving. And so what we're going to spend time teaching you to do is how do you get over the things that you don't love and really lean into them with anticipation to take your business from where you are to where you want to be. So for those of you that are listening, I want you to write this down. I want you to get clear as you think about registering to this. If you're wobbling on the fence, I hope that this will help you get to the other side of the fence. Have I done all that I need to do that moves me from who I've been into who I am becoming? See, God wrote us with an original intention. And God's original intention over our lives is still his final decision. So it doesn't matter if you've gone through a layoff. It doesn't matter if you haven't been able to get your payroll. It doesn't matter if you haven't, gotten things together the way that you want them to be, haven't led the way that you wanted to lead, or what's been going on. This is an opportunity for you to shift your thinking so that you can shift your way of being. So most of what stops us is not that we aren't doing the right thing, it's that we're not thinking the right things. Your actions will follow your thinking. So we're going to have a great time together to talk about the principles and then also the precepts. And what I love about Meade's 6 pillars of success is that it speaks to the precepts. What is your character in business? And you can get me talking about this all night long, and so I'm just going to say this shortly, is that if you are doing business without character, without integrity, without fortitude, without resilience and patience, then what's showing up in your business today is a test to make sure that those things happen. So if you're looking and saying, why am I not able to make millions? Why can't I even make $100? Why does money come in my business and go out the door faster than I can make it? It's because your precepts are not in alignment with your principles. And so we're going to talk to you about your systems and infrastructure around business, the how-to, and then we're going to talk to you about your precepts, the character of who you're being, God's original intention for your life. Are you walking that out so that you can create long-term, sustainable success? We don't want you to be an entrepreneur. We don't want you to want to make money, to dream about money, to think about money. We want you to be an entrepreneur that's enterprising, bringing in revenue, building the kingdom of God, being effective in the world, having humanitarian and philanthropic efforts, and doing everything that God's original design was for your life. So I believe it's going to be an exciting time.
Okay. What are some of the physical activities that we can expect that would help us? And when I hear you talking, I get the sense that you're talking about strengthening the spirit. What are some of the activities that's going to help us to strengthen that spirit and carry out some of those actions and think some of those thoughts?
Sure, that's a great question. Statistics show us that 15% of revenue that we produce in our businesses, in our careers, 15% is based on 3 things, okay? It's based on our skill, our knowledge, and our talent. So when we look at that, out of 100%, that leaves us with a massive number of 85%. So it makes you wonder, what's the other 85% of how we produce revenue, yes?
Yes.
So 85% is based on who we're being, our character, our integrity, our posture in the world. Do I believe in myself? Do I believe in myself as a leader? Am I a leader that's worth following? So we'll be doing activities that help you get clear on how you're standing in your own way. How you're standing in your own way in building team. TEAM, teamwork is what makes the dream work. And so if you're building a business and doing it alone, that's one of the #1 keys to failure. We'll be doing exercises around the 6 pillars that help you identify what is the thing that's ruling me now.
Yeah.
Is freedom and financial liberty and hope for my future ruling me, or am I steeped in scarcity, lack, and deprivation? So we'll be doing exercises that help you identify that. Now, the exercises will be in 2 areas. You'll be in kinesthetic movement that will keep you in action and creativity and excitement around gaining the clarity that you're looking for. And then we'll be of my personality styles that are out there that say, man, I really like to work my logical brain. We've got activities for both the left brain and the right brain. And what we're going to do is help you bridge the gap between the two so that you're no longer negotiating against yourself towards your own success. But you have both sides of your brain are buying into the side that's logical and then the right side that's creative. Both can move forward to help you create unlimited potential for your life and for your business.
Okay. Now, give us a little mini seminar while you're on the phone. What can we be? Give us a specific example of what we can be doing wrong right now that's preventing our success. Just one specific example of what we could be doing wrong right now that is preventing our success.
Sure. One of the greatest breakdowns is not being honest about where you are. Huge, major breakdown. Not being honest about this is where I am today. You know, I can tell you from my own experience, when I first started my business, I came in to the creation of my business as a phenomenal coach, a phenomenal speaker. What I did not come into my business phenomenal in was being a CEO. I had no idea how to develop a P&L to manage my profits and losses. I had no idea what it looked like to work with my accountant when they asked me intense questions. I didn't have a lawyer on my side. I mean, I just did not have some of the key principles in place to set up a successful business. And I was not honest about that because I had created such success in corporate America. I worked with major companies and brands like BlackBerry and Hoover vacuums and done some incredible things in the world. And so it was very, very difficult for me to say, I don't know what I don't know. And so being honest about where you are means that you raise your hand and say, listen, there's just some things I don't know. And I'm not, and don't make me wrong for not knowing them, just help down to the breakthrough. So one of the things that you can do is look at where am I and be honest with yourself. Don't put on boxing gloves. Just simply say, what are the top 5 things that are keeping me awake at night? That's the first step. What are the top 5 things that are keeping me awake? The second step is, if I were to resolve those top 5 things, what are the first 3 things that I would create as a result of those being resolved? So that'll help you proceed where you are, and it'll help you proceed where you want to be. And then the third thing that you want to say is, now, what is the thing that holds me hostage today between what I'm doing wrong and what I want to create on the other side of that? What are the limitations that I perceive? So let me give you an example of that. If what I'm doing wrong is not hiring anyone on my team, and what I want is to build the team I bring 2 people on. But what stops me is that financially, I feel like I can't afford to make payroll. So once I do that, then I can clearly see, obviously, I need to bring someone in who's interested on a commission basis or who's interested on a per project basis. Do you see how you can work that out? So then the only way that you're bringing someone in is when revenue is being created, you're not bearing the brunt of payroll and you don't have the resources to do it. So that's what you need to do, is identify where you are versus where you want to be by first saying, listen, I don't know what I don't know. And don't make me wrong, coach. Don't make me wrong, teacher. Don't make me wrong, facilitator. Don't make me wrong. And I think that's one of the liberations that people are going to experience in this workshop, is that we're not interested in making you wrong. And we're not interested in telling you, all the glitz and glam of business, but yet not getting into the meat and potatoes. You're talking to Lisa Nichols, who built 2 companies coming out of South Central California, raised her child on government assistance. You're talking about Meade Malone, whose stories inside of his book, The Plan, showcase how he had to have faith, perseverance, and resiliency to get through and to create what he's created massively in his own life. And then you're talking to me, who grew my business with less than literally a negative personal bank account in my business bank account. I was raised with a single mother and a dad in prison. I grew my business simply because I had a hustle. I had a hustle inside me that said I'm non-negotiable and I'm unstoppable. And in 18 months, my business grew 810% in 3 areas: brand alliance, brand visibility, and brand equity. So my business made great partnerships. My business was in the right places at the right time, doing the right things, producing a product that the market was interested in and screaming for. And lastly, my business produced revenue that took us to the next level. So you have a group of people that have been in the trenches and were not afraid to go there with you and help you get to the other side.
Okay. How does our ego affect our success?
Oh, I love it. You know, ego works in 2 ways. Ego works in 2 ways. First of all, ego works where you think of yourself either too high or you think of yourself too little. Either way, you're out of alignment with God's opinion of you. Ego, in my opinion, stands for edging God out. And I don't mean that in a religious context. I mean that in a divine idea. I believe that God has stamped each of us as individuals with a unique expression of God's character within us. And when we operate in ego too highly of ourselves, then we operate in a space that says, I can't connect with humanity. I can't connect with you around me. I'm too haughty. I think too much of myself, which means I can't identify with you. And when we can't identify with anyone, we can't pull anyone along with us. Even the Bible says that it is not good for man to be alone. And so when you're an ego thinking too high of yourself, you walk a lonely road unnecessarily. And I'm a person that believes that suffering is optional. And so that means I don't have to select it. If it's not working for me, I'm not going to select it. And then when you think too little of yourself, it means that you're always answering the question, you're always answering under the assumption that I am not enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not being enough. I'm not showing up as enough. I'm not believable. And so the breakdown when you are not believable to yourself, it means that you don't bring your full value to the table. It means you play small and you shrink back. And when you do that, no one wants to be around someone who's not a big player. Now, I'm not talking about you pretending to be a big player. I'm talking about you are being that. And so ego works against us. Ego edges out the divine idea within us. We don't stand within our own power. We don't acknowledge who we are, whose we are, and why we are. And we find ourselves out of alignment. And when we're out of alignment, it shows up that we're impatient. It shows up that we move too quickly. It shows up that we are out of integrity. It shows up that we make continual missteps. And you will know that because your pattern is cyclical, meaning you do the same things all the time, expecting a different result. And that's the definition of insanity. So you know you're in ego one way or the other when you have insane behavior, doing the same thing, expecting a new result, and yet it never occurs for you.
Finally, Allison, in a synopsis form, what can we expect coming out of the seminar, the workshop? What our minds should be like after we've gone through the workshop process with you?
You know, I love that. I think that, in all honesty, I think that everyone will feel lighter. You know, when you're a leader, you walk around with a Superman or a Superwoman cape. So you're the hero or the shero of your world. Most of us that are leaders, we're doing something that we've never seen in our families before. We're Noah building an ark when rain has never been heard of. You know, we are calling upon something, as Dr. Martin Luther King did. We're calling upon something that no one's ever seen before. No one has ever seen civil rights until Dr. King introduced it into the planet. No one had ever seen forgiveness until, like we see it, until Nelson Mandela did what he did. No one ever saw the station of love and light until we saw Mother Teresa literally personify what true love brings to the earth. And no one has seen someone effectuate change in the way the President Barack Obama has done it.
Are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. We lost a little bit of the last thing we heard was Barack Obama has done.
Yeah. No one saw change manifested so rapidly and caught like wildfire in the earth. Whether you agree with his politics or not, corporations started to create change management systems simply because he brought to life a message by Mahatma Gandhi that you've got to be the change you wish to see in the world. So what I mean when I say that is that when you are a leader, you often walk a lone road. And when you come into that room, you're going to see men and women that look like you, talk like you, think like you, and are living your life, and you will feel safe, first of all, to take your cape off. You will feel safe to not know it all. You'll feel safe that you made the right decision to risk it all to gain it all. You'll feel safe knowing that the decisions that you made are in perception of what's to come for your future, and that the breathtaking future that you've been waiting on is now literally in your reality. That's what we're going to be teaching people is how do you take what you've been desiring so desperately for your future and make it your reality. My mother has been, has waited for her future for 20 years. My grandmother waited for her future for 50 years. When you think about that, and we come...
Okay. Lisa?
Allison.
I'm sorry. Allison, I think we've lost. Allison, are you still there?
No, I think she's
gone.
Lost. Yeah.
Okay. We have to take a break for a word from our sponsors.
Absolutely.
And when we come back, we're going to talk some more about the seminar and what's going to come out of it and how you can participate, how you can get yourself involved.
Absolutely.
And all that's provided for you to facilitate you being a part of it.
You being a part of the seminar.
Yes. Keep it locked right here. The Spotlight will be right back.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Tortola Concrete Limited, Orion Law, Clarence Thomas Limited, Virgin Island Motors, and Bolo's Wholesale Cash and Carry.
Welcome back at Spotlight. I'm Ed Juenka, and I'm here with Brother Meade Malone. He's one of the authors of Lisa Nichols' book, Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above the Impossible. And of course, he's the author of his own book, The Plan, Realizing God's Financial Blessings for Your Life. We are going to open up the phones. The phone number is going to come up on the screen. So if you want to make a comment, ask a question, now is a good time to do it. We have another 20 minutes or so remaining in the program, so we hope to hear from you. We've been talking online on the telephone with Allison Bird. She is a transformational coach and a business consultant. She's going to be one of the facilitators
at the workshop.
At the upcoming workshop.
Yeah.
And the upcoming workshop is going to be on the 24th of March, a couple of Saturdays from now.
Yes.
A couple of Saturdays from now. And it's going to be held in St. Thomas at the Wyndham Sugar Bay Hotel from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And transportation is...
yes, people can go down on the Fast Ferry. There's a special fare being offered on the Fast Ferry for participants. You just show your ticket. And there'll be a 9 o'clock ferry returning from Red Hook. After the conference, because people, we want to have a little opportunity for people to network
and to mingle, and get to know each other.
And get to know each other after the conference. Get to, your biggest resource is people and your contacts. Allison talked about partnering, and so you get an opportunity to do that. and then you take your time and get back. We'll have bus transportation to take you to the ferry, and be able to get back home.
So when you come on the boat,
yes,
to Red Hook,
yes,
you're going to there's going to be buses there to take you to the hotel.
When you come in the morning, you'll come downtown. There'll be buses there that take you to.
Oh, so you come into Charlotte Amalie.
Yes.
Okay.
And when the conference is over, there'll be buses that take you to the ferry in Red Hook.
Okay, so you're coming to Charlotte Amalie.
Yes.
And then you're leaving from Red Hook.
You're leaving from Red Hook.
Okay.
Yes.
And how do you register for the event?
Go online to meademalone.com. And there's a button there that takes you to the registration page, so you can register for the conference. If you a corporate company and want to send some of your employees, I suggest that you call us at the office 494-4388, and we'll give you a group rate. If you're a corporation, a company trying to send a few of your employees, we'll give you a group rate. Just call and we'll give you that group rate.
And that's a good point, because while you're talking about persons turning their ideas into business and developing some ethics and some principles and some precepts,
yes,
to do business, it's also important for employees of business
absolutely
to further and advance the goals and vision of that business as well.
Absolutely.
Talk us a little bit about how that.
I think that's important because managers and heads of business units have a responsibility to grow that business, and the same principles that are going to be applied to the entrepreneur and the small business owner will apply to that person who heads up a department. Think about the person, for instance, who heads up trade or who heads up licensing or who heads up, those kinds of departments in government, as an example, or somebody who heads up a business unit in your business. Mm-hmm. The same skills and the same entrepreneurial spirit, you want them to apply in your business also.
You want them to have the same creativity. You want them to have the same integrity.
Absolutely.
You want them to
same discipline. You want them to be operating in their giftedness, and be able to identify employees who may not be operating in their giftedness, and try and shift them around in the business.
And of course, you need patience as well.
Absolutely.
And productivity in business is
critical. Without it, eventually it will die.
It will die. So this is certainly, and I think that's a good idea. This is certainly an important event, workshop, seminar for business owners.
Absolutely.
To send
groups of key employees who are responsible for key areas of their business. Okay. In our business, we have applied it to every area of our business.
Okay.
So we're doing it as we speak.
You can text us or you can call us. The number's on the phone. If you're watching, you want to find out how to get to this seminar, to this workshop, all important workshop. It's to talk to us. It's empowering.
Power your breakthrough.
Power your breakthrough and thrive in 2012. That's it.
Yes.
And empowering your breakthrough means getting that confidence, getting that skill set, getting that knowledge.
Absolutely.
And how to and more importantly, being in touch with your spirit.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. You listen to Allison, and she clearly brings in spiritual matters into the discussion, because I think that part of it is also very important in terms of your success going forward. And so we touch on those. We don't dwell there, but we touch on those and indicate the importance of that spiritual side of you in terms of everything
comes from there.
It starts there.
Everything comes from.
It starts there.
Comes from there.
It starts
now
there.
You're going to be participating.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about what your presentation is going to be.
Well, my presentation again talks about the precepts of the 6 pillars of success. I go through them, I talk about them, and I bring real life examples in each of the areas. When I talk about them in an overview, Allison and I will then go through each of the 6 pillars of success in some detail. If you look at the 6 pillars of success, the first 3 really are things that the owner of the business must own. He must own the vision. He sets the standard for integrity in a business. And the patience elements really are his decision making, whether or not he's patient or not, whether or not he sticks to it or not. Those are his decisions. Those are things that he must own.
And when you talk about integrity,
yes,
what you mean for the business owner?
Yeah, integrity is just doing the right thing, being transparent about what it is you do, and just being clear and trustworthy in carrying out the business and the thing that you're involved with.
How important is employee confidence in the business owner and the business owner leadership?
It's critically important. If the employees don't have confidence, then it all falls away, and that's why the business owner needs to own the first three. He needs to own vision. Because if you got the vision right, the employees are inspired by it. He needs to own integrity, because if he doesn't own integrity, then the whole thing falls apart. The business is weak. Integrity is where you get your strength from. It's particularly in terms of the difficult times. And the business owner must champion patience when there needs to be patience in a business.
How that lack of integrity impacts on productivity?
Well, it impacts on productivity because it permeates throughout all of the business. If you lack integrity in a business, then all of the systems that you set up that makes productivity and profitability work falls apart, because no one really studies them. It falls right into discipline, because when you lack that integrity in terms of the things that you are doing, all of your productivity systems and networks don't really function the way they're supposed to function.
And what about what does it do to the psychological aspect of the employee?
Yes.
What impact it has on the psyche of the employee?
I think it clearly impacts on them, because the whole work ethic. You see it in terms of the work ethic. You see it in terms of their own personal integrity in the business. If the boss is coming in 2 hours late, then why should I come on time? If the boss is not being honest in his dealings, then why should I be honest in my dealings? And so it flows throughout the organization and it impacts it. Integrity in a business is like building a house on a rock or building a house on a sand. And when you're out of integrity, you're building your business on sand. And when you're in integrity, you're building your house on solid rock.
Okay. And discipline means what?
Well, one of the things I learned about discipline, it was laid on my heart that when you're out of discipline, it's like having a bucket that has holes. And when you have buckets with holes, you never get to overflow, because when you throw it in, it's all seeping out. And so, you can have the greatest idea in the world. You can ground it in integrity. You can be patient. You can have the productivity systems, but if you are not disciplined,
you're not sticking with it, you're not working towards it.
Working towards it. If the budget says you're supposed to spend $5,000 on advertising, you're spending 10 and 15. And those if you are supposed to get your financials, done the third week of the month, and it's the fourth and fifth week, if you're supposed to do your billing on time and it's out of whack,
you're out of control.
You're out of control.
No discipline.
No discipline.
And of course, the talent. Talent
is very important. Talent is giftedness, because your gift makes way for you. When things get rough, if this interview is going out of whack, you know how to bring it back on track. You're in your giftedness. If I'm gifted in the whole area of baking or in a restaurant business, if things are slow, I can add a new dish, I can change the ingredient, I can do different things. I'm in my giftedness. Too oftentimes, people are in business and they're not successful because they're outside of their giftedness. They got there because they saw a friend doing it and he was successful, and they figured they can be successful in that business too. But when things got a little rough, they didn't know what to do, and so the business fails. The creativity doesn't kick in terms of that business and making it successful.
Allison spoke just now about doing the things that you love instead of just doing something for money.
Absolutely. That's giftedness. Doing the things that you love. Absolutely. And all of us have something in us that is legitimate, that we love to do. That's the area that we need to focus on.
And I don't want to say the trick, but the strategy or the plan really is for you to try to hone in on that thing that you love to do. Regardless of whether you're getting paid or not.
One of the things that we'll do in the workshop is give you the tools to help you identify what that giftedness is in you. We'll give you that tool. Start there and then build from there.
Yeah. And I have the question that relates to that is, how do you make that connection with God? Because I think that part of realizing that giftedness is through your connection with God.
It is there, but I think even whether you're a Christian or not, you have a burning desire within you. And, you know, not all of us will start off with God. I didn't start there. I grew there. But, you know, all of us have a passion within us to do something. And we need to just hone in on what that is, and our blessing is wrapped up in that passion within us.
Well, and that you said that, and I don't know if this is going off a little bit, but we seem to think of God as some entity somewhere, and then it is something else. Because, like, you know, to me, when I say make a connection with God, I don't know if I'm saying be holier than thou, but you know, I should say make a connection with that spirit, that person within, that spirit within, where that creativity, where that gift comes from.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's God.
Absolutely. Yes. Well,
regardless of your religious belief, regardless of, you know, what your thoughts are.
Well, that's true.
That place there to me is where God
absolutely,
is.
because when you make a connection with that passion within you, you're making a connection with God. Because He's the one that put it there.
Right.
You're making that connection.
That's
definitely.
That's what I mean. And the seminar is going to lead you in that direction.
Well, it'll give you the tools for you to identify that. And I think that's where successful businesses are built around. They're built around a passionate core. And if you look at all the greats, I mean, Bill Gates and all of those, you know, Steve Jobs from Apple, all of those guys build their business from a core, a passion core, and we see what they are today.
Okay, we have a couple of minutes remaining, and there's still time for you to ask a question. Maybe we've got and everything.
Yes.
Everybody already knows everything.
Yes.
Because I know you've been doing a lot of publicity.
Yes.
So the information is out there, but you can go online to meademalone.com.
Absolutely.
And you could get all information. I saw all the information there. Matter of fact, I think I have some of it here myself. But there's all information there about how to get your books.
Absolutely.
You can get the plan. Tell you how to get the plan online.
Absolutely.
And it's in the bookstores here as well.
It's in in National Educational Bookstore. There's in Beacon Bible Bookstore. So the main bookstores, you can find the books there.
Okay. And Unbreakable Spirit is on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, yes.
And it's here in the bookstores as well.
It's in the bookstores. It's on the website, yes.
Let me see. Was I hearing that you could get it on your iPhone and your electronically as well?
It's going to come, and there's an ebook coming out in April.
Okay.
So you can also get it that way. And you can get it on your Kindle. It's in that format also.
Okay, because I know I get my iPhone is my life.
Absolutely, you can get it there.
I get everything on my iPhone. So, and of course, if you want to call to get more information, the number to call is 494. What number was that you just gave me?
494-4388.
494-4388.
Yes.
If you want to get further information, and you don't have to worry about transportation because you're going to have a boat leaving from Roadtown and going to downtown St. Thomas, and then you're going to have a boat coming back after the seminar and the workshop, and and the networking.
Yes.
Leaving 9 o'clock from Red Hook
and come
back in town.
Yes.
Good night, gentlemen. I don't think a boss should have to be on the clock like his employees. That's one of the privilege he or she should have. Don't think that the boss should be on the clock. I don't think that's exactly what you're speaking about, but you could address that.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, the boss, there's privileges that come with being it. But one of the key thing is that you're setting a tone for your organization. Mm-hmm. So if the rule says that you are to be in by 9, you need to just set the tone for your organization, because people follow your example, they follow your leadership, they follow what you do, and so that's very important. So
it's just like you're setting an example for your children.
Absolutely, they follow. Employees follow your lead. If you are doing things in a certain way, they will follow in line.
If you're slack, they'll be slack.
Absolutely. If you're disciplined, they will follow that lead in terms of what needs to be done.
And it would be you provide them with the inspiration as well.
Absolutely.
If they see you gung ho and you filling in and you chipping in and you helping out and you're not too proud or too big to make sure that you pick up the slack, they will do the same thing as well.
They follow those examples. Absolutely.
And but same token, reverse is also true.
Absolutely.
If you slack in and say, why the hell am I worrying about it? My boss, and he don't care.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's important. And yes, like you say, the boss has privileges.
Yep.
But it's his company, and he needs to set the example.
Absolutely. If he comes in at 10:30 every morning and leaves at 3, employees are watching that.
At 3 o'clock. Productivity slows down.
It definitely slows down. There's no doubt about that.
Before 10, it's coffee time.
Absolutely.
And after 3, it's time to go home.
Absolutely.
It happens, and I think a lot of us, a lot of bosses, don't recognize that we don't set the proper tone, don't set the proper example. So this is a fascinating event. We fall on at 10 o'clock, and I'm always glad to have the opportunity to talk with you about your work or what you're doing, and to get inspiration, because you're always inspiring.
Well, I'm grateful to be here. As you said, there's been a lot of information out there about the seminar. I just came from St. Croix, putting on a pre-workshop there, and it was fascinating. We had a full house in St. Croix. And people are excited and are coming over to the conference in St. Thomas. And I just want to encourage people to come, as Allison says, to help you identify what the breakdowns are in your business. We all have them. She says that we're going to get comfortable in the room. I'm not sitting there pretending like I know it all. It's far from the truth. I'm going through many of the things that and understanding and applying them in my business also. And so we're going to go through and we're going to learn from each other in terms of what we need to do in order to power our breakthrough in 2012.
Great. And you can call again
494-4388,
and you can go on the website
meademalone.com, and you'll see the promptings there to get you to the registration page. Yes.
And of course, you can get the plan, Unlocking, and this, I read this. This was a fantastic book.
Yes.
And I'm following some of the plan.
Yes.
The plan, Unlocking God's Financial Blessing for Your Life. And it's in the bookstores. You could, the bookstore.
Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Yes, National
Educational Bookstore.
Yes.
Yes. So you can pick that up. And this one is one that you had a hand in co-authoring with Lisa Nichols, who's going to be at the seminar workshop as well with Allison. Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above the Impossible, and it's filled with stories of persons who have overcome
Yes.
all sorts of adversities, all sorts of tests and trials,
Absolutely.
and have succeeded, and are thriving and moving forward. It's an inspiration. It's an inspiration to have, to get encouragement, so that when you think you got it bad, other persons have had it worse and are now doing better.
And have survived.
And have survived.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. My brother, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for
the pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure every time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, next week the spotlight will be on the culture department of culture. We will have, let me see if we could, somebody just text us again. Let's wait till the last minute. If I don't have a business as yet, can I still come to the seminar?
Absolutely.
Still can come. It's not just for business people.
No.
It's for everyone.
You know, people who have a plan to go into business, wants to be an entrepreneur, the seminar is definitely for them.
And just for persons,
personal enrichment.
Personal enrichment.
Absolutely.
Just to start looking at yourself from a different perspective.
Absolutely.
Thinking, finding how you could think differently.
Absolutely.
What thoughts to encourage in your mind.
Absolutely.
What information to put in your mind. What are some of the things that you should be paying attention to? What are the things that you should ignore?
Yes.
So it's not just about business.
As Allison says, we're gonna examine for those that come. The board of directors that sits over their lives on a day-to-day basis. Who is controlling you?
Yeah.
What is the board of directors in your life, in your business, that's controlling your business?
Where are you getting this information from?
And creating the breakdown.
Creating all this havoc.
We're gonna examine those.
Identify it.
Exactly.
Yes. Next week the spotlight is going to be on the cultural department. We'll be having a discussion with the acting director of culture, Ms. Brenda Lett, sometime. We're going to be talking about our territorial song and territorial dress competition. I have my own ideas about those. Of course, we got this habit, which I think is not a good habit, and perhaps we all need to go to the seminar, of having this culture that we put up on a shelf and take out on Lavity South birthday, take out at August Festival, take out during Easter, take out when the Queen or the Duke or somebody's coming, and we display it, and then we put it back up on the shelf, and we go practice somebody else's culture. That's true. That's what we do. That's what we do, and then we wonder what happened to our culture. So we're gonna have a discussion. It's gonna be interesting. So you be sure to tune in to Spotlight on JTV Channel 55, and of course you could stream us live, jtvlive.net, for those of you who like to be on your computer all the time. You could be multitasking while you're watching us on the TV through the live stream, jtvlive.net. And of course, if you don't have cable, that's an excellent opportunity for you as well. And don't forget that the Spotlight's rebroadcast time has changed from 4:30 to 2:30 on Sunday afternoon. So, I know a lot of you have been looking for us on at 4:30. We have changed to 2:30, so make sure that right after lunch, after you come from church, you go to Channel 55 and look for Spotlight. It'll be on that time. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your word of encouragement, your suggestions and criticisms. Continue to email me at jtvspotlight@yahoo.com. I'm Ed Juenka, reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Please, peace and blessings.
This program is sponsored by the law firm of J.S. Archibald & Co. and by the trust company J.S. Archibald Trust Services Limited, both of Roadtown, Tortola, BVI.